Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on a beautiful Wednesday. My name is Jason, and today we are going to be playing Trap Chess Live. Trap Chess is a version of chess that was created by me where you're able to hide traps on your half of the chessboard, and those traps can remove your opponent's pieces. If they land on the wrong square, the trap will activate and they'll lose a piece. I will start by generating a play code. Here we go. So the play code, I'll put it into chat. It's 34JT2G. I sounded like William Shatner there a little bit with the syncopation. Boom. So I'll join. I'm going to put 16 landmines. That's the maximum amount of landmines you can put. That way it increases the chance that someone will have a trap activation, even if it's not me. But I will play with all of my landmines shown. That way you can understand what's happening. So if someone hits a trap, I can explain it a little bit better. I'll hide my chess pieces so you can see them. There is, excuse me, there is a landmine legend here. It's color coded based on the Okabe Ito color palette. That color palette allows anyone with color vision deficiencies to be able to see the difference between the colors. So we have blue is queen, green is rook, yellow is bishop, orange is knight, and black and white are pawns. So if we take that info, go up here, you can see I have pawn landmines hidden on B3, C4, C2, D1, D3, E2, F1, and H3. I have a knight landmines hidden on F2 and G2. I have bishop landmines on E4 and F4, rook landmines on B4 and A2, and then queen landmines on A1, C1. Looks like someone has joined. Thank you for joining. Let's get this game started. So I'll just make that's my opening move right there. Deal with it. And sorry, if you're on the other side, just turn off your smell-o-vision. I smell a little bit like mushrooms today. Got the mushroom kingdom here, so just letting you know. All right. And thanks for joining the game, whoever joined. We're going to have a good time. All right. I like that. So I'm looking at the board here, like straight at you. I can see it, but I have to make the move on my phone. So if I'm ever turning away, I'm probably looking at my phone to make the move. Trap Chess is available right now for iPhone and Android. It's free. You just have to play with a friend. So you generate a play code, send it to a friend. They download the app, they join with that code, and then you can play a game. Each side has a 12-hour timer. When the timer runs out, the person that ran out of time loses, just like in regular chess. And then every time a move is made, you get a notification that it's your turn. That way you can play at your leisure throughout the day. If you're playing someone who's a lot better than you at chess, then take more traps than they do to add a balance. Remember, traps only activate when they come to your side of the board. And you are immune to your own trap. So if I land on a trap, like you can see on C4, my pawn landed on a trap that takes out pawns, but it only affects my opponent's pawns. We can't see where my opponent's traps are hidden here. So okay, let's make my next move. We're just going to keep pushing through the middle. No problem. My opponent might do C7 with their queen. If they do that, they might be targeting the H2 pawn. That's totally fine. I have it protected with my knight and my rook. My knight on F3 and my rook on H1. Let's see what we got here. Okay, that makes me think they're trying to create a little bit of a pawn wall, and they're pushing their pawn next to B5. My response to that would just be C5 with my pawn to threaten the bishop, causing it to retreat. Let's see if I can see something better. You know what? Let's go ahead and put our bishop right there. Not our bush-up. Not the bush-up. No. It's too many bush-ups. We need more bishops. Yep, okay. And push. Hope there's not a pawn landmine. Good. Okay, we're safe. That way we can push on that bishop there and make it difficult for it to find a safe spot to go. We know the F4 square is dangerous. If that bishop lands there, it'll automatically get removed. You can see that the landmines are actually faded. That's on purpose. While they're hidden, they show as faded on the board. When one's hit, whether I hit one on my opponent's side or my opponent hits one on my side, it'll come up at 100% opacity for until the next move is made, so you can see what happened. Also, that information is recorded in the move log, so you'll be able to see that when we have some more moves. Looks like I can't scroll far enough on here because I have my screen zoomed in. And sharpen. Okay. Let's see. They ran with their bishop to a safe square. Good. Let's see. Okay. I'm trying to sharpen the camera without bleeding afterwards because it's so sharp. That's why I never bought a sharp TV. I always went with like Sony or Toshiba or something like that because I didn't want to risk it. You know, it wasn't worth the risk. Okay, let's see. So I'm just going to do this. I want to restrict that bishop as much as possible, so I'm going to move that pawn up from h2 to h4. That way the bishop can't go to the g5 square. If I'm restricting my opponent's dark colored square bishop, which is stuck to the dark colored squares, and they're restricting what looks like their light colored bishop on the c8 square by the way their pawns are formed, it makes it a little bit easier for me to get around. Okay, I anticipated this attack was coming. Totally fine. Let's just move my knight out of the way to a safe square. It's on my half of the chessboard, so I don't have to worry about any landmines activating. There they go. They're pushing a little bit further. That's okay. I'll retreat again. Now, I like to have my knights together because knights together, you know, knights get kind of lonely sometimes. So if you put them together, they can be friends and they can talk about knight-related things like, oh man, it's so fuzzy. Let's see if we can, there we go, sharpen it. I don't know why it does that. Maybe it's because I move so much. But yeah, okay. So they're protecting their pawn now on the b4 square. So I move my knight to safety. Let's put our knight here on e5 square and landmine. We lost our knight to a landmine, unfortunately. I really like that square from my knight too because it hits so many squares and it provided a lot of attacking power for me later. But my opponent did have a landmine there, so it's gone now. Let's see if we can see it in the move log. There you go. Knight e5, knight landmine. So you can see the knight hit the e5 square, hit a landmine, it was removed. You can see it right in the move log. All right, good play. Good play. Let's see what we got next. I'm going to... I'm thinking of moving my queen out on the left side to like b3 or a4, but I don't think that's the best way to go about it. All right, well, I know that square is safe now for knights, so let's bring our knight back in. Maybe I can still get that square. My opponent won't do anything to try to stop me, that is. They're really putting a lot of force on that side, so let's see. Yeah, okay. I have a pawn on h4, a knight on f3, and a bishop on e3, all attacking that g5 square. So my opponent has a pawn on h6. That's 3 attackers I have, or 3 defenders, or 3 attackers, because I'm the one being aggressive. My opponent has a pawn on h6, their bishop on e7, and their queen on d8, all attacking that. But because one of those pieces is their queen, and they have the same number of attackers I have, or defenders, it's okay for me to push. Also, the moment that pawn is off of h6, that rook on h8 is available for my rook to come in and take, because I'm the first one attacking, and the h6 square is busy defending. So we're just going to play this out. Totally fine. That pawn wants to take, it can take, and I'll take the rook. If they have a rook landmine on the h8 square, I lose my rook. But that's okay. Let's see where this goes. The music is a little catchy. I hope you can hear it. Cool, okay. So now it's defense on the queen. Makes sense. Let's see. So I'm just looking at a few options here. I'm thinking of getting my knight out of the way and bringing my queen in on the right side. I think that would be a really strong play if I could make it work. My bishop is currently safe there because the pawn on the h6 square is pinned. A pinned piece is a piece that can't move because a more valuable piece would be taken if it moves. So the moment that pawn takes on g5, my rook can go from h1 to h8. So I think that's a good strategy. I don't know why it keeps doing that. That's like what you do when you go to give someone a high five. Just go, oh. Okay. I'm going to... Yeah, we'll keep up with that plan and we'll put that knight on that key square I wanted to put it on earlier. It gives me some options. I can put the knight on g6 if I want to attack their knight. Oh, they castled? That surprises me because on that side of the board, there's a lot of attacking happening. Okay. Well, I'm thinking of putting my knight on g6. g6 means their knight can't take because their queen would be taken. Their knight is pinned. If they don't do something about it, the rook on f8 will be in trouble. And then I also have my rook on h1 that can come up on h6 anytime. So we're going to do that. Okay, cool. No queen landmine. There we go. Cool. Or no knight landmine, rather. So my knight is safe on the g6 square. That's good. I feel like Knight at the Roxbury when I sit here and pump out to that music. I'm surprised by that. I'm very surprised by that move. Gonna go rook all the way down. Cool. Now, it's protected by my knight. Yep. And then I'll get the rook. And that puts pressure on the queen. Yep, so the queen's got to run. Now, that king on that side is pretty much by itself now. So, I mean, I feel pretty confident to just kind of bring my queen in and try to go for the win. I could take the knight. That's a possible move. I think it's best to bring my queen in. Yeah, okay. Because my rook is right there, right? It doesn't make any sense not to take advantage of this. Keep my rook there. Let it sit. Bring the queen in. The queen will protect the rook when it comes in and go for checkmate. Okay. Yeah. All right. Here comes my queen. Yep. Okay. Oh, oops. I completely forgot about the knight. That's okay. Do that. Cool. Make it so the rook is safe. Yeah, I completely forgot about the knight. It's been a long day. That's okay. Good move, good move. My goal is to go for checkmate, so... Okay. Let's go. Pawn up. We're figuring this out right now. What's the path to checkmate? Yeah, originally I was going to try to put my queen in the corner, but that knight is blocking it now. So, I mean, I just have to come at it from a different angle. That's totally fine. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well. Let's check. Interesting. Okay. We're gonna go and please no landmine. Okay, no landmine. So the pawn is safe. I thought for a second my pawn would blow up on that square. So I have a pawn pretty close to being promoted now. I could hit a landmine on the e7 square. I don't know what's there. But it also opens up by taking that pawn. My queen on d4 is opened up to move up as soon as that pawn is out of the way. And there it is. So, cool. Let's see what I want to do. That knight is still in the way. Okay, I'm thinking take that pawn. If I take that pawn, they don't have anything set up. They could check me, but my pawn could take back. Okay. Just take the pawn. No queen landmine. We're safe. Good. And that opens up the square for f8 I could go to now. And f8 is pretty bad for black. So we'll do f8. Check. Let's see. I think it's a checkmate pretty soon. Is there checkmate? I mean, the king could just run to my side of the board, but I have those pawns there. It wouldn't really last very long. All right, let's check again. I'm really hoping I don't hit a queen landmine here. That would be terrible if I hit a queen landmine. Check again. Boom. Let's see how this plays out. Okay. All right, good. Queen in the corner. Check. Now I can use the rook. So, perfect. Now that the rook is in play, fantastic. That's game. Because the only way to block, yep, it has to be the queen. Use the rook. I did the rook specifically because I didn't want to lose my queen, just in case. I've been moving her a lot. Okay. Safe. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, that just gives up the pawn. It's okay. Let's see. I could go there. Yeah, let's check again. Push you to my side. And check again. I could have done castling. That would have been cool. Castling to a check. I'm just pushing that king to my side, so once the king is on my side, it's safe for me to check it because I don't have to worry about landmines. So, see, just keep it going. Keep the checks going until it has to come here to the pit of despair. Perfect. Yeah, the king can't go anywhere right now, so it has to be the knight that blocks. Cool, okay. And we'll do check. The king can now move to that safe spot because it's blocked by the bishop. And then I'll go checkmate. Good game. All right, thanks for that first game, whoever that was. I really appreciate it. That was a good time. Let's see where the chess pieces or the landmines were hidden. I was dancing around the G7 queen landmine. If I had taken the queen with my queen, I would have lost it. Rather, I took it with my rook, I believe. Let's take a look. Rook takes, I think it was G7, right? Yeah. Move 28. Rook takes G7 check. If I had chosen to do it with my queen, I would have lost my queen right there. Good game. Thanks for playing with me. That was awesome. I'm going to put up another code. So if you'd like to play again, it'll be there. It's 4YZQ3Z. Boom. I'm going to join and confirm. Cool. And let's see where my landmines are. We're going to make the normal opening move, the most common one in chess, E2 to E4. So my landmines are in different spots now. Okay, makes sense. thanks for joining. I'm ready for the game. So thanks again for playing with me. It means a lot when you play with me. I worked really hard on this project, and seeing people enjoy it is fantastic. It really makes me happy. I'll do that. See, normally that's a trick. They would be like, oh, free pawn. But here, they might be like, oh, there might be a pawn landmine there. I'm not going to touch it. But there wasn't. It was just me not paying attention. So I'll do that. See, you know where my landmines are, so you're taking all these risks. That's okay. We're gonna take some risks too. Oh, now you got that whole section set up, so that middle part is hard for me. Okay. No problem. This will give protection for my knights. See? Now my knights are in great spots to be protected. If you try to attack my knight, it just breaks up your wall a little bit, which is okay. The pawns on the e-file are doubled up. Doubled up pawns generally have a harder time protecting each other because a pawn can only protect diagonally. So like that. That. So if you have it behind another pawn, it can't protect as easily. So moving my knight there is kind of like trying to bait my opponent to move their pawn up and get some more remove some of their defenses. So okay, let me see what I can do next. Okay, I'm gonna put my bishop here. I have an idea for the future. Interesting. I don't think I need to do anything there. No, if I take it, they can bring their queen out, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to ignore that move. Let's see what's next. Okay. Let's bring the bishop out. My bishop is my good friend, so... Boom! Pawn landmine. See, I didn't have to do anything. The pawn landmine took care of the piece for me. So normally I would... in chess, if they take, you would take back. But in this situation, I don't have to take back, and I can do any other move I want instead because the landmine took care of the piece for me. Taking back there wouldn't have been the best move anyway because they had a8 to a1, and they would have been able to take my rook because I would have opened up an x-ray attack. I mean, I do have the bishop on b2 protecting it, but then I don't want to put my bishop in the corner. So, all right, we're going to do... I'm thinking... We're going to go for... Nah, we're not going to move that. You know what? Let's run this pawn up the side on the right side. I have a plan. Oh. Okay. I'm under attack. I wasn't even paying attention to that. That's okay. I'm in a safe spot now. If they had a knight landmine on the b5 square, that would have been terrible. Because I only had that square pretty much to move to be safe after I blocked my the square with my bishop. I wasn't paying attention to that. So that's totally fine. I play a lot of chess where I'm lately I've been playing a lot of like new players, and I've been teaching them how to play. It's a very different mindset than playing to win, because when you're playing to teach, you're looking for like new opportunities to show like new things in the game or explain things. Playing to win is completely different. So I'm gonna just run this pawn up. I'm totally okay with that. Let's push that pawn on the right side. I have a plan. Oh, okay. I mean, if that's what you want, you can have that knight. Take that knight on b5. I'll take back with my bishop, and then your knight on d7 is pinned, so it can't be used. And then my bishop is pretty safe there, and it's protecting that pawn on a4. So it makes it so my opponent will have a hard time getting through on that side. They push their pawns early, which looks good early on, but for me, I was okay with the pawns being pushed. There we go. Come on. Okay. Oh, gosh. That was a good play. You had the bishop landmine there. You expected me to take you back. And now your knight's not pinned. Great play. Oh, man. That was a big one, too. The bishop one was... That's rough. Good move. Good move. At least I know now that b5 is safe. Because there's only one landmine per square that's laid there. So since one activated on b5, I know it's safe now. So, okay. Go. Just put it there. I'll threaten a check with that knight whenever I want. The threat is real. Okay. I have an idea. I might still push that pawn. I might still push it. Giving some more thought here. So, there's a lot of pawns on my side of the board, and they haven't hit landmines yet. They make good scouts though, because you can throw a pawn through the center of the board or up a file, and when you do that, if it hits a landmine, you know that square is now blank or safe for your other pieces. If you're playing with the board game, however, you have the ability to once you hit a square, you can check what's underneath it, so you can then try to remember what's there. And so you get more information when you play with the board game, and that can really help you figure out where you can move your pieces and where it's safe. All right, so they went there. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Let's start opening up my pieces while pushing their pawns through away and breaking up that pawn wall. So I think this is a good move. Oh wow, they're just going to keep pushing. Okay. Do that. We'll open up my queen on the D file. Interesting. See, I had a threat present this entire time with my knight. And now that threat is still there for a fork. My opponent has opened that up, so I will take it. Check. I hope there is not a knight landmine somewhere around here. That would be terrible. So I can go for that rook now in the corner. I did a fork here by putting my knight on the c7 square. A fork is where you're attacking two pieces at the same time, so your opponent has to pick which one to save. So in this case, they have to save their king because it's the rules of chess. So then in response, when the king moves out of the way, I can take the rook in the corner. Now they have to be careful where they move though, because if they did move their king to e7, I would have been able to then fork the queen and go for the queen instead. All right, go there, take the rook. Cool. Oh, they don't like that knight. That's okay. Let's see. I'm looking at my queen now and checking. I could put my queen on b3. I could put my queen on f3. Both of those are checks. The f3 also targets their queen, so they'd have to figure out something to do there. And then I could save my knight. My knight would be okay. The other option is if I go b3, let's see where they can run to. They could block with their pawn. I mean, there's options they have. We're just going to go ahead and save the knight. We're going to offer up the trade for a queen by forking the king and the queen. That way they have to choose what they want to do, and their only move really is to take the queen. If they don't take the queen, I take theirs for free, unless they have a queen landmine on that square. Yeah. I like that move because it also opens up my rook, so now I can move the rook to g1 and it will be able to attack on the entire g file. I have more pieces pushed through right now, like I have more developed too, so I feel pretty comfortable. My knight is targeting that b6 square, which is the only thing preventing my pawn on a4 from moving up. So what I'm going to do is focus on pushing through and doing some attacks here. I think I might want to castle at some point too. I could castle on queen side. That's the side where it's longer. It's the side like closer to A. If I castle on queen side, that will put my rook on the d1 square, which will be directly aligned with that bishop and the knight. So, but first what we're going to do is we're just going to break up this pawn wall. That pawn wall has been there a while, so let's get rid of it. And cool. There we go. And now we have double attackers on the b6 pawn, which is preventing the a4 pawn from moving up. They may have a landmine on the a file, I'm not sure. But it's also targeting the g7 square, where the king is the only thing defending. So if I'm able to push the king away, I can go for that rook in the corner too. Yeah, their bishop is in a spot right now where they're trying to block my knight from getting out, but it's difficult now that I'm attacking that b6 square with my bishop too. So let's see what the next move is. Interesting. Okay. We are going to castle. That will protect the bishop, so I don't have to worry about it. It's surprising that my opponent is trading pieces when they're down. Normally, you don't want to trade when you're down. You want to look for ways to get a little bit of an advantage. If you're up in the game of chess, trading pieces is in your best interest because at the end of it, you'll have more pieces than your opponent. So, okay. So now that rook in the corner is attacking my knight, but we're just going to save it. We're just going to move it out of the way. It's going to be pinned next, but that's okay. Because I can protect that with my rook. Yep. So protect it with my rook, totally fine. I can bring my other rook into play too. Bringing that second rook will be really helpful. So, okay. Back where it's safe and it protects my pawn. Yep, if they move their knight to d5, I'm still safe. Okay. That's okay. We will target that knight now. Let's see. Keep targeting that knight. Don't let up on that knight. We're going to target it till it becomes a day. Okay. Let's see. So now I can take their knight on e8 with my my rook. I could check their king on e6 with my rook. Let's look at the check possibilities and what those do. Okay. I think it's best if I just take the knight. Let's do that. And then it's protected by my knight on c7, so I'm safe there. And it puts their rook in a difficult spot where they're forced to do a trade because their rook has been cornered. And then when I take back, it's an instant check. So that's pretty helpful for me. Yep. Check. There's only one knight landmine left because I hit the other one. So I'm not too afraid of moving my knights on my opponent's side of the board. I have a 1 out of 32 chance of losing my knight, so it's pretty good. But we're just going to keep moving around, get our knight to a better position while doing checks. And I'll probably put it on the e4 square where it can protect my pawn on f2. I think that's the best square to put my knight on temporarily. Then see how my opponent uses their pawns and start working on taking those out or move my king in to go for a checkmate. So there we go. It's safe now. And my pawn on f2 is safe. Yeah, that's fine. So okay. Go there. And if my opponent takes the knight on e4, I get their knight. Yep. With a fork. Cool. And it took up, I gave up some pawns for it, but my opponent's going to have their king cornered, so no problems there. Cool. So now the king is pretty much going to be cornered. Yep. It can try to run away if it wants, but that's okay. It'll just be moving towards the corner of the board. And I can wait to take those pawns until they're on my half of the board if I'd like. Cool. Keep the king nice and close. Let's see. Go there. Go there where it's safe. And then I have a pawn landmine on g4. So good game. Really great game. That was a great game. Thanks for playing with me again. It's always fun playing with people. And I'm going to take a look at the board. Let's hide the pieces. So the rook landmines were actually on d8 and a8 that I had to look out for. So I was pretty safe. I wasn't going to lose my rook. There was a time in the beginning of the game where my opponent was trying to open up the X-ray attack on the A file, where my rook would have been able to come down and take theirs, or theirs take mine. I had my bishop on b2 to protect my rook on a1. But if they had opened that up and I brought my rook down, even if their rook wasn't protected when I took theirs, they would have taken it back with the rook landmine on a8. So it was a good strategy. It looks like they were trying to play their landmines a bit, which is a really great way to play trap chess. So, okay, I'm going to generate a new code. I'll put it in the chat. 158 5C1. Confirm. Cool. So thanks again for playing with me. I'm having a lot of fun. If you have any questions about trap chess, feel free to ask in the chat. I love to answer anything. I've been working on the project for a few years now. There's kind of an ecosystem built around it. My social media, there's X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And then and YouTube is where I do the live streams. And then also I have my website where people can sign up if they're interested in purchasing the board game. And then I built the app, and the app is like a really quick, easy to understand way to play the game. And that way you can test it before you buy the board game. Okay, there we go. I made my first move, e2 to e4. I'm showing my landmines like usual. I feel like playing trap chess a lot is going to make me better at chess. I used to play a lot. I played chess every day when I was like, I think I learned when I was like 12 or 11, and then I played up until I was like 21, and I got pretty good at it, but I fell away from it, and it's a muscle. You know, playing anything is like a muscle. If you don't do it often, you forget, and you gotta get back into it. So, which is totally okay. I'm really happy to be at this point in my life where I can just kind of sit here and play chess with you guys. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, let's see. There's a lot of movement on that side of the board. The F pawn is generally the weakest pawn to move early on, but they're making a pawn wall on that side. So let's take a look. I mean, I could go bishop to g5 and then they have to defend with like the knight or the bishop to protect the queen because the queen can't do anything otherwise. Nah, we're going to do something else. We're going to do that. We're going to go knight because the knight is protected by the bishop on c1. And see if my opponent takes with that pawn. They do take there. That's okay. It opens up an X-ray attack on the F file. So at some point I can try to get my queen in there or go for a fork on the F7 square. That's the thought process here behind the knight move. It's possible too. My opponent will just move their pawn up and push the knight out because they see it's a problem now, which is also something I anticipated. It's my least favorite move for being done against me here, but it's okay. Yeah, I think I had a plan for this. Let's see. We're just gonna run. I'll let my opponent extend their pawns again, and I'll see if that works out for me. I'll put my knight in a spot where I don't have to move it again. Okay. Huh. There's a lot of attacking going on that e4 pawn, and they haven't pulled the trigger yet. It makes me think they want me to take or me to move forward. Because they put their knight there as bait. So if I go to e5, I bet there's a pawn landmine. So let's just take, see what happens. I don't want to make a move and just get nothing in return. So I think taking is best because I at least get a pawn out of it. Okay, they took back. Huh. Okay. We're going to keep on pushing. So I didn't want to put my queen on h5 because of the knight on f6. But if I put my bishop there, it's okay because bishops... Oh. They hit the knight landmine on e4, so they lost their knight. That makes a lot of things easier for me. So we're just going to start attacking. Hope there's not a bishop landmine there. Okay. Yeah, the king had no choice but to move there, which means castling's off the table. Now... we're going to maneuver where we can get a fork on the g6 square with the knight now. So let's do that fork and hope there's not a landmine. No landmine. Good. Okay. And we'll go for that rook. Yes. So my pawn on d4 is protected by my queen. That check was to open up to take the knight on h8, but I can attack the bishop in response with a pawn. So it would be an even trade if they go for that. So now they're thinking about giving up the bishop for the knight. Which is a good thing to think about. I'm just going to wait to see what they do. Okay, so they're willing to give up bishop. Okay. I will oblige and take the bishop. They'll take my pawn with their knight. I'll attack the knight next and push it back. And I have a plan. Oh. My plan was actually to get my queen to that square, because the queen is unprotected, and it's an X-ray attack there. So that was actually my plan. So they had a solution with their pawn, which is okay. But now let's keep pushing. Their queen is in the corner, which is the least advantageous place to have it. So this will open up my ability to do some attacks and break through. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and castle. That'll bring my rook into the action. I can put my rook on e1 and start trying to attack. Cool. So now that pawn on e5 won't be able to take if I attack it diagonally, because it's pinned. If they take with it, their king will be taken on the e6 square. So let's do that. Cool. Let's see what happens next. Interesting. Opted for the pawn. Okay. Check. A lot of checks. Okay. Okay, I thought there was a landmine there, and that would be it. Cool, good game. Let's take a look at all the landmines. The queen ones were in the C file this time, so C5 and C7. I had C2 and D3. So I didn't really have a risk of losing my queen in this situation because my queen was on the other side of the board. But I did, I could have gone for checkmate and that would have been it. But really good game. Thanks again for playing. That was pretty aggressive. It's an aggressive game. Let's start another one up. All right. X22 F5T. Boom. Join. Confirm. Show my landmines, and we'll just start with that. Cool. So anyone can join. Just enter that code and join. Oh, rematch. Is this another? I think it's a rematch. I don't know who I'm playing, but I'm pretty sure this is a rematch. I'm looking forward to it. Let's go. This is my game face. Okay. Scary, right? Terrifying game face. All right, let's see. There wasn't much left in there, and I don't like to waste in my my can. So here we go. All right. So the knight, let's just do a little bit of blocking for that knight. It's blocked on each side, so it can't come closer. Let's block that knight. Looks like I'm blocking my bishops in, which I am, but that's okay. We're going to start bringing them out. Put a little bit of attacking power on the b4 square and a5 squares. I want to move the pawn from d3 to d4, but that opens up the knight to go to e4, and I don't want that. Okay. Well, let's do that then and get the bishop there. It's kind of bait too. I'm like baiting my opponent to try to push on the A-B file with their pawns, because I do have protection there. That's okay. No problems there. Okay. If you want to trade, I'm willing to trade. Now we blocked the e4 square from their bishop on b7, so it won't be able to get out easily when they move their knights out of the way. There's a knight landmine there. Boom! Okay. Let's bring my other knight out. We'll put it on the square where the landmine was. So that way there can be a knight there no matter what. You know, I know that's what my opponent wanted, so we'll keep a knight there. Okay, so you can also, let's see if we can see in the move log. Yep, you can see it right there. Knight takes on c3, knight landmine. So basically that shows in the move log that a landmine did activate. You can also see on the bottom where it says landmines 15 white. I started with 16, so you can see it ticks down by 1 when a landmine is hit. It'll do that on either side as well. Okay, let's see. They did that. Cool. I want to open up my bishop to come out. So let's do that. Oh man, it's hot in my office today. But let's see. Okay. I'm just going to put my bishop there and cover all of those diagonals. I don't know why my camera keeps doing that. It's having trouble focusing. It's pretty new. I'll have to look into that at some point. All right, that square looks like a square for me to attack. If I attack by putting my knight on the d5 square, I also have the option to go to c7, which is a fork on the king and the rook. If my opponent defends their queen and moves it to the wrong square, they can also be subject to that fork. But I also have that bishop on h3, taking up all of those light colored squares diagonally. Okay. Let's see. So let's go for the fork. Cool. And we got to take the rook. The rook is worth 5 points and the knight is only worth 3. So it makes sense to do that trade because it's more points. People like wonder, oh, interesting. I don't have much fear from that move, actually. I know they took the bishop, but I'm not really afraid there because I can just move my rook to g1 if they try to come in any closer. And the knight, the rook combo is going to hold off everything. But this means I can save my knight now. And I really like my knights. So, cool. If there was a knight landmine there, that would have been really well planned because I would have gotten a rook for 5 and they would have gotten a knight and a bishop if they were like aware and planned that. But thankfully there wasn't, because my knight had no other place to go to be safe. And I don't want my opponent to take it next turn with their bishop. I'll save it. Yep, so I'm not afraid of that. We'll just do that. That'll push the queen out pretty easily. And then I have a follow-up move I can make where I can go knight to g5. Which opens up another fork on the f7 square to put my knight there and attack the king and the rook again. So let's follow through with the plan. They could take the pawn on h2. That's okay. I'll just move my rook out of the way. It's a very aggressive stance to bring your queen in this quickly. See, now they still have to deal with that fork possibility. And then my other knight is close too, and my queen has the ability to come out on the light colored squares all the way to G4. So where it's safe. So that gives me options here. And their king is kind of a, it's kind of like a pincer attack where like I'm like a crab. The crab is going like this from both sides. All right, let's go for that fork. That's what we set up for. Oh. Well. Check again. We can check and protect the knight, so that means the rook is pretty much it's a sitting duck right now, because now the knight is completely protected. The king can't come any further. He can't go to b6 because of the knight. It'd have to go back. Goes to the light colored square. It did. That means... Cool. Let's keep attacking. The more attacks you do, forcing your opponent to defend, the more likely it is that they'll make a mistake. So, all right. Just like that. Now we go for the rook. Their queen, my opponent's queen, is pretty much useless at this point because it's stuck. It's close to the corner of the board. It can't take anything to get out. It has to go back, and my queen is protecting a lot of those squares. And my pawn. So, landmine. Perfect. So, let's see. I can now do this. No landmine. Cool. Okay. And now I'm threatening checkmate with the e7 square. I have some options here too, because I can do a check with my knight on c7. I have my other knight. But the king is stuck basically on that back rank. Unless they try to run it now. Yeah, they're going to run it now. So, take, check. No landmine. Good. Okay. And then, no landmine. Ah, queen landmine. Right at checkmate. Oh, man. Great. That was awesome. Right at checkmate, queen landmine. That was cool. Good job. Good job. Oh, man. That was rough. I did not see that coming. So that was that. Cool. I'm going to write that one down. I think I can make some videos off of this. So let's see. All right. Well, I got to get my other rook into play. So the best way to do that is with castling. My knight in the corner. I can still save that. That's not in too much trouble. I'm basically up a rook here. So the queen is worth 9 points, which is the same as like a rook and a knight and a pawn. So I'm still good, but that queen landmine prevented a checkmate, which is so cool. That's like the best case scenario because it's snatching defeat from the hands of victory to your opponent when that happens. So that was really cool. Good job there. All right, let's just target some stuff. The queen is going after that knight, so we're just gonna try to swap it for something. Maybe we can trade it for the bishop. That would be a good scenario here because it's kind of, I expected it to be taken a while ago. Okay, I mean, we'll trade there. Like that. Add some protection here. I don't have to worry about the threat of the queen that much, and the knight where it is preventing the king from moving back. It can't go to... That's okay. Oh yeah, good move. That was a fork. That was a really good move. It was a good fork. There goes the knight. All right. Let's focus fire this down. Try to get my rooks together and do some good attacks. Double check. Double check is where two pieces are attacking the king, and the only way out of it is to move your king. Normally there's 3 ways out of check, but double check prevents that. Cool. All right, cool. And my opponent does not have a way to check me right now, which is great. My king is hidden behind all my pawns. All right, yeah. If they didn't move their queen there, the queen was going to be... Well, it would have been a trade 2 rooks for a queen. But... Let's go... I know they're targeting the pawn on f2. So... Let's do that. I have a plan. I have a plan. It doesn't look like I have a plan. If you looked at me, you'd be like, that's a guy that never has a plan. But I have a plan. Just trust me. Trust me. Interesting. Why there? You want to go to e2? Is that what this is? You want to go to e2? I could go to d1 with my rook, the one on d5. Yeah, let's do that. We'll keep everything protected. Since everything's protected, I feel pretty safe. I only got 4 moves to make. I could do the rook, but he's just gonna take it. We'll go corner. Corner seems like a good move. Why not? Queen landmine. The corner was to lure in the queen to go to c2, and it did. So queen landmine. All right. Let's see. Next move. Next move. Next move. I think it's time we start attacking. Now that the queen is out of the way, let's go for it. Let's see. Let's see. Pawn landmine. This one, we've had 5 activations. I've lost 1 to landmines, and it was my queen, which is crazy. The only one I lost was my strongest one. We're just going to keep pushing. Next, I probably have to bring my king into play to go for check. Another landmine. All right, let's go, king. That was crazy. I thought like things weren't looking good, and suddenly everything turned around. All right, let's see. Go, pawn, go. You can do it. Here we go. That pawn was bait. It's bait. Good game. Good game. Very good game. Good game. That was a great game. I can't believe that happened. It looks like both of their their rook landmines were on A5 and A8. I was bringing my rooks to that side, so it was pretty dangerous. But I kept them on my side of the board because you're immune to traps on your half of the chessboard. Very good game. That was close. I'm going to throw up another code in there. We can have a rematch. F3. LSD RF3. Confirm. Cool. And go like that. Cool. So I'll wait for someone to join. That was a really great game. That queen landmine was crazy. Can't believe that happened. Cool. Yeah. The coaster fell off the bottom of my drink. I'm a mess. You know, I kind of want to play with all my landmines hidden, but we're going to show them. Again, we're just going to go for the center of the board this time, early. Go there. Let's debate a check. Cool. Okay. Everything's happening on the weaker side of the board. It's so confusing to me. Okay. No. Protect! Be protected by your D4 friend. Interesting. All right. Protect! I'm going to go a little more protection on that side and open up that bishop to come out. That bishop is blocked by the knight. It's fine. That's okay. That's okay. So many aggressive moves that can be made. Yep, there's one of them. Queen trade right off the bat. It's okay on this side. I'm okay with that. Means I can't castle? That's okay. I don't need to castle. Who needs castling? Probably a king would need a castle. And probably a moat. But I don't see a reason for that. To need a moat here. I mean, I see you going eventually to F2. I see it coming. We're going to protect my pawns. We're going to open that up as a possibility to you to go to F2 when you put your knight on the G4 square. I'm okay with that. I'm just going to protect that square. I'll put my bishop on E3. E3 will protect the F2 square, so I don't have to worry about that fork. Let's see. Okay. We'll just do that now. Get it out of the way. And okay. We're going to just stop that knight from even coming in at all. I don't want it to come in. I see that the rook now after that castling is lined up on the D file, but I can just move my king out of the way. It's not a problem. Huh, interesting. I thought I was going to sneeze and I didn't. Yeah, I'll just block. Oh, I'm definitely going to sneeze. I still feel it. Excuse me. I turned off the mic because I didn't want people to hear me sneeze. It would be really loud, and I don't know what it's like on the other side. So let's see here. That bishop can't do anything. All right, we're going to take. I don't see a reason I shouldn't take. It threatens the knight. The knight doesn't really have a lot of good spots to go to. I mean, you have double attacking on the e5 pawn now, which is okay. I'm not too concerned about that. It did break up my pawn wall a little bit. All right, cool. Do this. I know that pawn is going to go. Cool, that's okay. And then we're going to do this. Protect that pawn over there. And we'll have a good wall on the right-hand side. I can always bring my king over there for safety if I need to. It's the same thing. Okay. I was aware of this and prepared. Now we have two bishops next to each other, so that's a pretty strong formation. That knight can't move any closer unless it goes to the e5 square first, which is okay. There it goes, e5. Why would you do that? You want to go to f3, attack the bishop? Or do you want to go to d3? That doesn't make any sense. All right. Do that. Cool. I'm just going to run a really tight defense until I'm ready to attack here. See? That doesn't make any sense, does it? But it does. It does to me. I'm moving my king out of the way. I don't want it on the same file as that rook on d8. Get that rook out of here. Oh, you want to trade? I mean, you can't fork me anymore. Unless you do e3. I'm thinking. I probably want to move my king again. Yeah, okay. Let's do that. Because if I take, you take, then that fork is available on e3 on my king, and I don't like that. You can trade. I'm okay with trading. I have my whole right side protected really well that I don't need my rook there anymore, really, so that's interesting. Is this all just to get my rook? All right, we're gonna trade there. And then we're gonna trade here. Get those bishops out of here. Bishop landmine takes out my bishop. Good job. All right. I mean, it looks like the target is my pawn. Or you're trying to bring out. I don't fully understand the strategy, but I'll keep defending. I'll bring out my other pieces. Huh. I want to bring out my rook. I'm just trying to figure out the right square. I think we're going to bring it here and protect the knight. It doesn't make sense. It forces the knight to move again. Okay. Let's target the rook. We're going to go rook for rook. Is that what this is? Or you just didn't like my pawns? I just need to think a little bit here. My knight is safe there. Let's target the knight. I don't see why not. Targeting the knight seems like the better option because my knight is safe. Nothing can get it. So, yeah, their knight is protected by their rook, but, you know, it's I have options. Like if I take rook, they take... Now my rook on e1 can come in and get close to their king. So I have a good amount of options here. All right. That looks safe to me. My king is my weapon of choice. King, go to their side and destroy some things. Do it. Avenge the queen. She was traded way too early. And you must be upset you lost your queen, so let's go avenge. Okay, I mean, I see the move for you to go to c5 and check me again. But this blocks it because I take the rook. Now, you can take back. Yep. But then I can block... c5 again. I just need to be careful because I have my king in a spot where I'm kind of cornering it. Yeah, okay. I have a plan. I have a really good plan. I think. Because when the knight goes to c5, I'm protecting that pawn on c3 now, and I can move my pawn from b2 to b4 and do a fork where one of the knights has to die in that situation. Let's do... I think I want to do a check. I could do a check and take that pawn out. No, we'll just attack the knight. It's looking to take the pawn on b2 anyway, so we'll just move the pawn up and attack the knight. And then the rook can't do much. So, yeah, you know. And then you're still in danger, so it's cornered now. That was the goal. The knight can't survive now. Really? Okay. I'm going to do that because that won't be a distraction away from this. And then knight is mine. Cool. Good defense is difficult to pull off, but if you pull it off well. All right, let's start destroying stuff. My king is very safe right now, so. Trade. I'll offer a trade. I don't think my opponent will take it. They shouldn't take this trade. Unless they have something with landmines or they have some sort of plan and they're thinking ahead how their landmines will take out my extra rook. Because they're behind on a rook. That's a big deal. If they don't take it, I can go for that pawn. And my pawn has a direct line to becoming a queen if I want, as long as there's no pawn landmines in the way, which is totally a possibility. If I'm running that pawn up, I could easily hit a landmine. Okay. You want to trade? We can trade. Okay. Let's move my king up. Let's go for checkmate. I knew that pawn landmine was there, so I didn't have to worry about much with their pawn getting promoted. My goal here is to go for checkmate. Cool. No landmine. Cool. Okay. As long as there isn't a landmine, I'm safe for a checkmate. Cool. Good game. That was a really good game. There were some good swings in that game too. So thanks for playing with me. Let's see what time it is. 6:21. I have time for another one. You know what? Actually, I think I'll call it. I have a new puppy, so I'm going to do some training with my puppy. But once again, thank you everyone for playing with me and taking some time to play trap chess. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Thanks again. Have a great night.